Welcome back to Joy Recaps. Movies Stories Recapped here. Today, I'm going to recap a horror film from 2019 called Countdown. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. At a house party, a few young people can be seen sitting around a table. When the girls discuss calorie counting, one of them shows an app on her phone for keeping track of your food intake. The other wants to download it, but when she searches for it, she finds another app called Simply Countdown. When the others inquire about it, she reads the description, which states that it can predict when you will die, except for Courtney. They all want to turn it into a drinking game, with the person with the least time to live drinking everything on the table. Courtney reluctantly agrees to the terms and conditions as well. They go around the table, and each person is given 60 to 30 years of life. Courtney appears upset as she informs them that she only has 3 hours to live. When her boyfriend Evan comes over and drinks instead of her, the rest make fun of her and tell her that she has to follow the rules of the game and drink. Later on, the two of them will walk over to his car. He was visibly inebriated. When they walk in, she asks him to walk her to her house rather than drive, but he refuses. She gets out and begins walking while he tries to persuade her to return. And when he fails, he jumps off angrily. Courtney receives a message from the app informing her that she has violated the user agreement. It appears that someone is following her as she walks. The app informs her that she has less than 2 minutes to live, prompting her to dash into her house as the app continues to blare on her phone. She switches it off. Courtney enters the bathroom and, becoming increasingly paranoid, checks the shower curtain. She then goes to get some water, but she hears the curtains moving again. When she turns around, she is grabbed from above and thrown into the shower, breaking her head. She dies when the countdown timer reaches 0. Meanwhile, Evan was involved in a car accident, and the passenger seat in which Courtney was supposed to be is completely destroyed. Quinn is seen exiting an elevator and pushing a nurse's cart through a hospital. She enters a room and discovers that one of the patients hasn't finished his lunch. She knows where to look for him. His position on a balcony in the hospital's closed wing. Evan here. She sits with him and tries to make small talk to calm him down before the surgery, but he shows her the countdown app, which shows that he only has about 19 hours left. He tells her about the app and his girlfriend, convinced that it predicted her death. Evan believes the app is aware that he will die during his surgery. Quinn tells him not to be concerned about the app and orders him to return to his room. On the way, they run into Amy, who invites Quinn to accompany her. Because she passed the nurse's test, the hospital staff surprises her with a cake. Quinn makes a joke about the app while they're eating cake, and some of the others have already heard about it. They both laugh when Scott is given more than 50 years to live, as is Dr. Sullivan. Suddenly, a man enters, carrying a woman who has overdosed. Amy tells Quinn to bring the kit with the drugs to counteract what she's taken, and the doctor examines her right there on the floor. Amy gives it to the woman, and she awakens. Later, as Quinn is leaving work, she sees an advertisement for the app. She downloads it, enters her information, and accepts the terms. The app informs her that she has just over 2 days to live. Dr. Sullivan walks into the elevator and flirts with her, but she tries to avoid him. Quinn is at home that night, finishing up her nursing documents, when she encounters a problem. She calls Scott for assistance, and he informs her that she must enter the information from her birth certificate. Quinn doesn't have it, but she knows where to get it. She goes to her parents' house to get it. She sifts through her mother's papers and finds it at the bottom of the pile. Something moves in the closet behind her, and when she opens it, she finds her sister Jordan and her boyfriend inside. He puts on his clothes and walks away, but Quinn chastises her sister for it. Jordan is upset with her for parenting her and not visiting her more frequently after their mother died. Quinn goes to her room to apologize and tell her mother about her studies being completed when her father awakens and comes to greet her. He's delighted to see Quinn and invites her to accompany them to her mother's grave one day. Evan is preparing for surgery the next day when he realizes he only has about 3 minutes to live. He exits the room, and the app sends him a notification to his phone, informing him that he has violated the agreement. Evan sees a deathly figure in the mirror, but no one is there in reality. He flees to the stairwell, but it pursues him. The app keeps reminding him of the countdown. Evan is trapped inside the dark stairwell after hearing footsteps inside. He turns on his phone's light, but he can't see anyone downstairs. Evan looks up and thinks he sees Courtney, but it's not her, it's something else, and it's after him. When the countdown reaches 0, his phone falls down the stairs with it. Quinn arrives at work a little later, and Amy informs her about Evan. She recalls the app and appears disturbed. Quinn then goes to his room and, seeing her colleague packing it up, tells her that she'll take over. She finds his phone and, realizing she needs his fingerprint to open it, goes to the basement facility to see his body. Quinn attempts to open his phone with his thumb, but it does not work, so she tries again with his face. She finally opens his eyes and manages to open the phone, only to discover that the countdown has reached 0. His hand suddenly falls and touches her, causing her to drop the phone. When she picks it up, his head turns and he stares at her. She returns the body to the freezer. Quinn looks at her phone to see that she has less than 2 days to live, and the countdown timer is set to the same hour she'll meet her father and sister at her mother's grave. She calls her father to cancel their plans. When she passes a figure in the room, the app notifies her that she has violated the user agreement. When she returns, no one is there. Dr. Sullivan startles her. He asks her to assist with a patient, but she is having difficulty with a machine. She wants to leave, but he stops her in an awkward attempt to comfort her. The doctor makes another advance on her, which she declines, but he continues. When she pushes him away, he fakes an apology, so she goes to find Nurse Amy and tell her what happened. Amy is called for by the doctor before she has a chance to say anything. Another notification is displayed by the app. Quinn tries to delete the app that night but is unable to do so she searches for it online and discovers information about Courtney. She watches a video of a girl ranting about the app and claiming to see ghosts, including her deceased cousin. The girl abruptly declares that her time is up, then sees something, screams, and drops her phone. Quinn relaxes a little and closes her laptop when she notices Dead Evan in the comments section of the video. Her phone sends another notification, so she breaks it, but the countdown continues. Quinn gets into her car and promptly falls asleep. Jordan is the one who wakes her up in the morning. They go up to her apartment, and her sister finds her smashed phone, sees the app, and tells her she only has 1 day to live. She makes fun of her when she figures out the app and then asks to stay with her because their father had to go on a last-minute business trip. Jordan storms out when Quinn refuses. She scratches her finger on the broken screen as the app beeps again. Later, she is in a store, purchasing a new phone. Quinn opens it before the guy can swipe her card. She gets a new phone and SIM card and checks to see if the app is still available. She goes to leave when she doesn't see it, but another notification arrives, and the app is also on the new phone. She inquires about the app, and he tries but fails to delete it. When she finally leaves, one of the other customers inquires about the app with the store clerk. Quinn is driving her car, checking the app, which has continued to count down, when she notices a deathly figure in her rearview mirror. It is only visible there. It grabs her from the back seat, and she collides with another car, falling out of her own. The man in the other car yells at her, while a store customer walks out and tells him to stop. He scares him away, then shows her he has the app as well. They are later seen discussing it in a bar. She suggests that they find a way to view the app's user agreement again, and Matt suggests that the crazy guy in the bar download it. They approach him, and when he gets to the terms and conditions page, Quinn begins reading them. It states that they must accept their fate. The insane man still agrees to the terms, and the app predicts that he will live to be 91. Quinn and Matt visit the hospital and meet with the priest. When they ask him about demons, he says he doesn't believe in them and sends them to someone else. Amy requests to speak with Quinn before they depart. Matt needs to use the restroom. Someone is attempting to enter his stall, and he notices a barefoot child under the door. He hears someone crying in one of the stalls while he's washing his hands. And when he goes to check, he sees the barefoot kid again, walking through the stalls as if there's nothing in between. It comes to a halt at the last stall. When the lights go out, Matt goes to inspect the stall. Nothing is in there, but something appears behind him and calls out his name. It attacks him and then vanishes when the lights come back on. Meanwhile, Amy drives Quinn to a meeting with Human Resources and Dr. Sullivan. He claims she was the one who cornered him, not the other way around. When Quinn begins explaining her side of the story, the man from HR says she'll be suspended. Quinn storms out when Amy confronts her. Matt is waiting for her, but he does not tell her what has occurred. He continues to hear the voice of the thing that attacked him. They enter a church in search of the man mentioned by the other priest. They track him down in his office. He's ecstatic when they ask him about demons and immediately recalls an ancient story. In it, a prince receives a scroll from an old gypsy woman that foretells the exact hour he will die. She heeds his warning not to use the information to change his fate. But the prince persists and returns to the gypsy, telling her that death is coming for him. She tells him that it is not death, but a demon who will torture him until he dies, just as the scroll predicted. He instructs them to find someone who can hack the app for them. They approach the store clerk, Derek, for assistance and bribe him to assist them. He is aware of the app and mocks them for believing it, but he still hacks it for them. The app's code is written in Latin. They also discover the countdowns for all users of the app, including Derek's, within the code. He modifies all of the parameters for his countdown, then searches for Quinn when they discover her sister's countdown as well. Derek changes her clock because it is nearly identical to hers. Jordan notices the change on her phone, but the woman who is watching her takes it. As Derek drives away, Matt and Quinn thank him for changing their countdowns. Quinn then invites Matt to spend the night with her. They're preparing for bed and even leaving the lights on because they're still sacred. Matt tells her about his late brother, and she tells him about her mother. Before they died, they were both cruel to them. When the lights go out, the two of them are sleeping in their bed. Quinn hears something outside the room and tries to wake Matt, but the demon is in bed with her. The demon vanishes when the real Matt removes her covers. The app returns to their original countdown. Quinn recalls her sister's countdown clock. Jordan, meanwhile, hears her phone ring in the old lady's room and goes to retrieve it. When something appears in front of her room, she notices that her countdown has changed. Jordan goes to investigate, and the lights go out once more. She returns to her room and closes the door, but when she turns around, it is open. Then she hides under her bed and hears her mother calling for her sister. Something pushes her bed aside, and her deceased mother appears. Jordan rushes to the front door, where Quinn and Matt are waiting. They return to see the demon priest. He deciphers the Latin code for them. It's a curse that he can break and lift away from them. He believes that if they can keep one of them alive for longer than the app predicts, the curse will be broken. His plan is to keep one of them alive long enough to lift the curse by hiding in a blessed circle of salt. Quinn mixes the salt with paint, and the priest blesses the salt as they lay it on the ground. When they check Matt's countdown timer, the circle is painted on the floor. Quinn kisses him as he steps back, terrified. The lights go out, and they all enter the circle. The priest is praying as the demon approaches. The demon appears behind them, but it is unable to enter the circle. When the app starts blaring, the priest tries to send it back to hell. Suddenly, a toy robot appears in the circle that only Matt sees. His brother appears and entices him to leave the circle. He is grabbed and dragged away by the demon. Quinn chases him down, but as she approaches Matt, a car hits him and he dies as the countdown begins. Jordan is injured, so Quinn transports her to the hospital, while a doctor is caring for her sister. One of her colleagues informs her that she knows what happened with Dr. Sullivan and that she will accompany her if she pursues him. They hug, but Quinn notices the doctor talking to her sister and walks over. She thanks him, but she has a plan for him. Jordan tells Quinn that their mother's death was her fault. Not Quinn's, but she insists that it was none of their fault. They reconcile, and Jordan promises that they will spend the last minutes of their lives together. Quinn does not believe they will perish because she has a plan. She enters Dr. Sullivan's office and manipulates him by apologizing to him. He sees right through her and inquires as to what she desires. She tells him to follow her into the closed wing because she wants her job back. Moments later, the doctor enters and searches the closed wing for her, discovering pieces of her clothing on the ground. Quinn is engaging him in a game. She suddenly hits him with a wrench and prepares to inject him with morphine when Jordan appears and stops her. The doctor is dragged away by the demon. Quinn believes that killing him before his countdown will break the curse, so she sets out to find him. Jordan searches for her as her app indicates that she has less than 2 minutes to live. The demon appears suddenly behind her. Quinn is still looking for the doctor when she overhears something. He knocks her out and prepares to kill her, but she attacks him again. She pursues him, but the demon pushes her away, and he flees. Quinn has another thought. Jordan is being pursued by the demon at the same time. She tries to hide from it, but her app reveals her location. When she goes over to investigate a freezer, the demon grabs her and throws her through a window. Her time is running out as the demon closes in on her. When Quinn appears, a syringe pressed against her skin, telling it to let her sister go. Jordan begs her not to commit suicide, and the demon transforms into her mother, diverting her attention. Jordan's time is running out, and Quinn is distracted for a moment before realizing what's going on and injecting the morphine into her veins. She perishes before her time, and the demon is unable to take her. Quinn has broken the curse of the demon. Jordan is crying over the body of her sister when she notices the name of a drug written on her arm and a bottle rolling away. She injects it into Quinn's arm, and it neutralizes the morphine, bringing her back to life. Quinn, Jordan, and their father later pay a visit to their mother's gravesite. Quinn receives a notification as they prepare to leave. Her phone now has the beta version of the Countdown app installed. Derek is seen on a date with a woman in a restaurant in an after-credits scene. His date is dissatisfied, so he goes to the restroom before they leave. Derek receives a notification from the app that counts down his minutes. The lights go out, and Derek's screams are joined by a demonic sound.